So Policy Analytics worked with Structure Point in planning the, let me go back a slide. So Structure Point worked on the planning on a parcel level basis around these station areas. We took 8 station areas in Lake and Porter County, and out of that, Policy Analytics looked at the development and how that would proceed. In the first part, we modeled the impact of NICTI's construction for Westlake. So NICTI gave us the numbers on the costs, and with some help from NICTI, we estimated how much of that will be spent in construction and other things inside Northwest Indiana, how much of it is likely to be spent outside. So that's what you see here, about, for both Westlake and double tracking, about almost $600 million in construction-related, direct construction-related spending right here in Northwest Indiana. In addition to the actual rail construction projects, Bill talked about TOD. So again, with the help of Structure Point, we estimated the investments that would take place in these station areas. And you can see up there, Munster Dyer, Hammond South, Hammond Gateway, East Chicago, Gary Metro, Gary Miller, Munster Ridge Road, Portage and Ogden Dunes. So we looked at, again, with the community's help, with Structure Point's help, in a very detailed way, and we estimated the way that would play out over about a 20-year period, because the state has given us the challenge of showing a 2x return on investment over 20 years in order to get the $180 million. So we really needed to play this out over a longer period of time. And over that time, we actually did 3 phases of development. We're only showing 2 phases in that 20 years in order to be conservative when we talk to the state, but it yields about $2.3 billion in investment around these stations. Of that amount, $1.9 billion is estimated to be private sector development. There's about $400 million in roads and sewers and things like that that will largely be paid for by state and federal government and their normal road programs. So a lot of investment takes place over this 20 years, and as those investments play out, you get a response in the job market. So we're estimating that about 2,500 jobs created by the Westlake Corridor Project, another 2,900 in the double tracking in the northern Lake and Porter County areas, and about 1,000 annual jobs, construction jobs during that initial period of building Westlake and doing the double tracking. How does this work out in the economy? When you create jobs, when you add to ridership, when you boost the local economy, it brings in people. And one of the objectives of both generally in the state of Indiana and certainly at the RDA is to boost the population growth above its normal level, which, as Bill said earlier, hasn't been very strong, and this would add to that that population growth. In terms of regional dynamics, how is this happening? The way it's happening is we are creating with these investments and a more attractive economy in Northwest Indiana, which will draw investment from Cook County, from the Chicago, the Illinois side of the border. And you see, in this case, and I guess I don't have a, oh, I do have a laser pointer, thank you. So you see that this is the loss from Cook County, which translates into this increase in Lake and Porter counties, unless we think that Cook County is being impoverished. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't put that slide in. This this drop in Cook County investment is equivalent to 0.07% decrease in Cook County. So it's a very small shift in terms of Cook County, but it is a shift. So in the entire Chicago MSA, what we're really saying is more investment than the baseline normal investment is going to, of that entire MSA, is going to occur in Northwest Indiana. Now, as you add investment, 2.3 billion in station areas, it has a fiscal impact. So one of the things that we did, Policy Analytics does a lot of property tax modeling, both for Lake County and Porter County units, as well as across the state. So we just looked at that investment in a property tax sense, and it creates from Westlake Corridor about $207 million in net property tax revenue, and in South Shore about 230, not quite 230 million, again, in net property tax revenue over that 20-year period. So there is a positive fiscal impact. There's also sales tax and income tax impacts, and that's really what we're required, the RDA is required to show to the state of Indiana in order to receive approval for that $180 million. At the top here, you can see the sales and income tax impact. Over that 20-year period, about $310 million in state sales tax, about 192, almost 200 million in state income tax. So $500 million generated by these projects from Northwest Indiana projects for the state of Indiana. In terms of Lake County, the property tax increase about 400 million. The income tax, because you have local income taxes in Lake and Porter County, is about 50 million in Lake County, about 9 million in Porter County. So almost $1 billion in fiscal, in revenue, coming out of these investments back to the state and local communities. Finally, these slides show the return on investment calculation that we need to show for the state. So on the left, this is simply the growth in, this is the annual amount of income and sales tax, state income and sales tax. The state is promising or has appropriated $6 million a year. So the ROI calculation that's actually in the statute is, in the 20th year, how much state income tax and sales tax is generated, divide into that the $6 million that the state is appropriating. So it's about a 4.4% return on state investment. If you do ROI for Westlake plus double tracking, excuse me, the estimated bond debt service on the bond for $105 million is, let's say, about $6.5 million. You add that 6.5 to the 6, whether the state pays it or whether it's a combination of state or local, private, the return there, you have a higher amount of state sales and income taxes, and you have about a 4.2 times tax return on investment. Bill, is that sufficient? I don't know.
Thank you, Bill. A couple things that, as I'm pouring through this, kind of jump out to me and resonate with me, and I was trying to find my connection with it, and I remembered, it's kind of an anecdote, but I remember being a kid growing up around here and sitting in a diner one day, my dad, being a proud steel worker for 35 years, explaining to me, and I don't know if he was right on this number, but he was very proud about what was a fact in his mind, that for every mill job, 7 other jobs were supported by it. And so he felt good about the person in the diner, and he felt good about buying local, and he felt good about what was going on all around him, because he felt like he was part of what was driving the economy. The mills are still important to us, but that's no longer the case. So if you think about DuPage County having 39% of its total workforce population commuting into Cook County, and you reconsider that income slide I showed you, It's very much the same idea. That's why when you never get on a train, you still win with a project like this. This is about total growth. This is about people spending more money in our communities. This is about, for every job in Chicago, supporting several others in our local segments. And so this is our vision, and I really do believe we can see that we've turned the corner. We can see some positive traction happening in these communities that we've invested in already. I do believe that we have some advantages here, and this is a great time for us to show the state that we are leading the state in growth. We should be. We're the third largest economy. We will be the example of what Hoosiers are giving global opportunities. We feed the world, we teach the world, we build things, we do it all. But what we're not doing is connecting to that great market right now. So this is the next big step. So that's our vision. This should give you context for all of our investments. They're not one-offs, they're part of this bigger picture. Westlake only happened because we came together as a region, and we'll continue to need that kind of collaboration to make this a reality. There are other important things happening in our communities, we understand, and that they need to keep happening. But we're hoping that we'll all embrace this direction together